So, I am a Christian.
Mr. Christian, I seem to recall you had a particular fondness for cheese.
And I believe in evolution.
Hopefully in the same sense that you believe in sunlight or gravity or the charge of an electron.
It's called theistic evolution.
In which case, of course, you are leaving the realm of science and going into religion.
It is the belief that evolution exists, but it was directed by God.
Of course, there's no evidence that the gods did anything at all, ever, anywhere in the universe, let alone here on planet Earth, let alone helping evolution along, but since it's a religious belief, who cares what, people believe all sorts of bizarre, unevidenced things.
I mean, I can prove that evolution exists.
Well, no, you cannot prove that evolution happened or happens. Proof is totally outside the realm of science. We can show evidence that is convincing and conclusive that evolution happened and happens. Proof? No, never.
If it didn't, people wouldn't need flu shots every year. The reason people do is because the flu evolves to become immune to the previous vaccine.
Yes, indeed, that is a fine example of evolution being observed everywhere in the world.
Now, some people might say this is just mutation, but what is mutation but a quick response, knee-jerk evolution? Usually it ends in failure or a dead-end species, but in the case of viruses, it results in a stronger organism.
Perhaps the word stronger isn't quite accurate. It results in a more fit organism. The environment changes, the organisms change. Strongest may or may not apply. It depends on what your metric is for strong.
Now, but the thing is, even an evolutionary scientist will tell you that the chances of things just interlocking so perfectly, everything depending on everything else, are about 1 in 60 billion.
Okay, I give up. Step forward, produce a name or two of any biological scientist out there, geneticist, paleontologist, biochemist, any scientist out there working in the evolutionary fields. Step forward and name them, the people, the scientists, who say the odds of whatever you mean by interlocking, whatever the hell, 60 billion to 1. Perhaps you would be kind enough to show your math. How the bloody hell can anyone who is not a god know the figures and the values to calculate? This is an unprecedented discovery, and apparently only you know about it, and whatever scientist you believe said that. None of this exists anywhere in the science papers out there. Unheard of. So please, if you would, step forward. Produce the names of these scientists that make that claim that you claim that they claim. Personally, I think you're full of bullshit. The odds of every single species that currently exists or has existed and is now extinct or will exist ever in the future for the next 20 billion years until the sun expands into a red giant, the odds of them existing as they exist, all their so-called interlocking parts, the odds of every single one is 1 to 1. Parity, probability 1.0. 60 billion to 1? No!
I don't see how it's possible without something intelligent driving it.
Argument from incredulity, argument from ignorance. Therefore, it doesn't sway anybody who's not already convinced that the gods exist and that the gods may have influenced evolution. Personally, I don't find that any intellectually fulfilling. I don't want to make any beliefs based upon the lack of an explanation for how something happened. That you admit it is points in your favor. Question: if the gods were required to make life that is so what you apparently mean by interconnected and functioning, if the gods were required to do that, are the gods more complex than life on Earth? And if so, where did the gods come from?